Season 5, Episode 34 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Stealers. I am Jonathan Lipskin. To my right, Sam Fetterman. Sam coming off a 5-game week, if I'm correct, right?
6.
6. What did I miss?
I had.
Oh, I know. You had a women's game Tuesday.
Yes, I did.
That's what
I had 6 games this week, 2 women's games, 4 men's games, 3 Lemoyne games.
Yeah.
I don't get Lemoyne now until December 3rd. But yeah, a lot of basketball happened this week. I wasn't really sitting in front of my TV all that much. Yesterday, I sat in front of my TV from noon to 6:30, and then from 9:30 to like 1. So
Yeah,
I watched a lot of ball yesterday. I've been watching film. I've been on all the box scores. So I am more than up to speed. Jonathan, how has your first week been?
my first week was good. It was a lot of sitting down to watch games. I didn't actually get to go to a game this week. Mizzou was obviously on the road Monday, and I covered that from the comfort of my own apartment. And then on Friday, I was working when Mizzou played Howard at home. So no games for me in person this week. That will change tomorrow as Mizzou hosts Eastern Washington. I may also be attending a game in St. Louis this weekend, but that is to be determined.
Yeah, I have a game Tuesday, and then I don't have a game until Saturday. So I'm going to be watching a lot of ball this week.
Is your Tuesday game a men's game?
It is a men's game. I don't have another women's game until next Sunday, I think. Yeah, next Sunday. Well, I mean, I just am not capable of going. Like, I have something came up Wednesday night. I would have loved to go to Syracuse, Maryland women on Wednesday. All right, but this doesn't matter. Nobody is listening to us to hear me talk about my game schedule.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jonathan, let's get into this.
Do you want to do? Let's start. Let's just start Monday. I don't want to have to, keep track of all the games we're covering and bounce back and forth between days. So let's just go back to what happened on. Actually, you know what? We did a show Monday night. We don't really need to go back and do all these.
And Cole and I did a show Tuesday night.
So yeah, let's start on the glorious Wednesday night, the day after election night. What do I want to start with here? Okay. Let's talk about this Auburn stuff, because
I mean, yeah, I think to talk about Auburn, Vermont, we have to talk about Auburn, Houston.
Right. And so I think we can just kind of
I think anything we're going to say about Auburn, Vermont is also going to come with the lens of what we know about Auburn, Houston, and what we know about Merrimack, Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was very impressed with Vermont against UAB. And then Auburn just did what they did to what they do to mid-major teams at home. They smoked them, and Miles Kelly was on fire. And then, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about how they just killed Vermont. Not surprising that they beat them by a lot. Surprising they beat them by quite as much as they did. But then, kind of pivoting to last night in that game against Houston, the key for me, and I think for everybody watching, was obviously Tahad Pettiford. I didn't expect that he would be the first name brought up on our podcast this season. Neither of us were very high on him, but look, he is a microwave scorer. When he is on, and he gives this Auburn team. Denver Jones really, he's a solid scorer. But he doesn't have and same with Pegues. Those guys don't quite have the juice that Pettiford has when he's on. Pettiford, when he's on, is can be one of the top volume scorers in the SEC. Kind of the same evaluation that we had for Aiden Holloway last year that didn't really work out. I think Pettiford is maybe a little bit more explosive going to the basket than Holloway. Probably a little bit worse deep 3-point range, though. Still can really shoot it when he's on. And the key, and I'm going to say this whenever we talk about Todd Bedford, I'm going to qualify everything with when he's on. Because when he's off, we saw it against Vermont. 19 minutes, no points, he fouled out. It happens for a guy like Todd Bedford. But to come out there in a game that's a complete slugfest, your second college game, you fouled out of your first game, to come out in your second college game against the best defensive program in college basketball, and to play as well and as composed, because he's not known for his composure. He was composed in that second half. He didn't take a ton of bad shots. He just made tough shots and got to the basket and got to the line once or twice. And he made the right passes. He didn't do anything stupid. And to have that composure against Houston in your second college game is unbelievably impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you used the words microwave score. I wrote Rise and Shine for this morning, and that was the exact phrase I used. That guy, when he gets hot, can score with the best of them, even as just a freshman. When he is off, it looks like a completely different Todd Pettiford. But last night, they got the good side of him, and boy, did they need every single bit of it. What a just like I don't think you can really have a better first week than what Auburn just did. Not to we are not on the show going to have these like generalized overreactions where we're like, anointing teams certain things through 1 week of college basketball, especially when a lot of teams have only just played one game. And at most like 3 if you're at the mid-major level. But last night, what Todd Pettiford did was special. And there's absolutely no way other than that to say better about what he did. And Janai Broome did what he did. Auburn got a good game from Chaney Johnson too. And by no means are we hitting the panic button on Houston. Houston could still very well be the better team. These teams played one time. We have 30 more basketball games between these two teams that they will play the rest of the season. And
it was a 5-point game.
Yeah.
Houston could have won this game. The win probability was 80% Houston with 8 minutes left. Houston was 57% with 2 minutes left. Houston wins this game in maybe not 50, but in a lot of different universes.
Many different scenarios. And I will say that even
really, if Todd Pettiford doesn't go off.
Yeah, no, I think from a schematic standpoint, they were doing a pretty good job moving him within the offense. Auburn does a lot of stuff with zoom actions, and Pettiford was just coming off all sorts of stuff. And he does have that creative gene that not many players have, where he can pretty much get off whatever shot he wants. Whether that's going to be a good or bad shot really just depends. But that is a factor. And I will say that before we go on here, if you look deeper into this, it's not the storyline of this game really isn't just Todd Pettiford. It's not Janai Broome. It's not even just Auburn beating Houston. It's in the circumstance that they did it.
I wanted to talk about Janai Broome, but go ahead. Talk about
the fact that Auburn had to literally go back to Birmingham where they took off and pretty much drop off to 2 players because of an altercation that took place on the trip there, and then and restart their trip all over again. It was already going to be a very weird road trip and not a normal one for Auburn. And they were resilient both off the court and on the court during this trip. And it resulted in what I think will probably be one of the more impressive victories that we'll see in college basketball this season.
No doubt in my mind. The other thing that I look at and say for this team, Janai Broome is the best returning player in college basketball. 33 minutes in this game. And he was so good in all of them. He had 5 blocks. He was 10 for 11 inside the arc against Houston. Nobody does that. Houston will shut down your post-ups. They will and it's not like he was getting all of these baskets off of lobs and cuts. He was physical and posting up some of these Houston bigs, which you don't see. Like, you don't see guys post up Houston. And that wasn't where all of his buckets came, but he got buckets off of that. And Auburn's obviously using some variations of the flex, kind of some modern flex variations to get their guys cutting, which I've really liked. Chaney Johnson had a really good game. Looks so much better. But if they're going to hit their ceiling, I need more from Pegues, and I need more from Denver Jones. This was not Auburn's ceiling, but like, considering the circumstances, it was about as good as you could have asked for.
I don't think that you'll see anybody's ceiling in the first week. I mean, it would be
No
incredibly rare. Like, John Rothstein did tweet something about how crisp like basketball was this week and how high level it was, like for a first week. But the first month of the season, teams are still figuring out what they are, even two months in some circumstances. So like you'll probably see this Auburn team continue to get better, even if it's not the final product. You'll probably see them play better games than this.
Yeah, Jonathan. And on Houston's side, do you have anything?
So the only thing like with Houston that I want to comment on is like, this is like, there's no bad matchup for Houston because like they play so hard, they match up with everyone well. But like the fact that Auburn was able to like keep pace with them on the boards, like it says a lot. And it's if you want to beat Houston, like you have to try to match how hard they play, because you're not going to just go out there and be a better team than them and out talent them, because it's Kelvin Sampson finds guys that fit so perfectly, and he maximizes everything that he has on a year-to-year basis and even on a game-to-game basis. But like the fact that like Auburn was able to go out there and athletically compete, it's something that I probably should have factored in going into this game when I was really too focused on the external Auburn stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I don't really have much on Houston in this game. I think they'll be fine. I thought Jawan Roberts had some really good moments, had some difficult moments. Manuel Sharp had that huge shot. I don't think this is the best we'll see Houston play, and I don't think it's going to be close, obviously.
No, I think like once
they have some tough mid-majors on their schedule. Louisiana, Hofstra, Troy, Toledo, Corpus Christi. Those are 5 well-coached teams. They don't have any more cupcakes. Jackson State was their only cupcake, and even Jackson State is pretty well coached for a SWAC team.
I will say that I think if Houston is going to be the best team in college basketball, like JoJo Tugler and Terrence Arsenault will probably end up being 2 of their better players, because those are the guys.
I'm not sure. I think Tugler has to be, because I think Roberts is that good.
Well, I think those are the guys on their team that have like NBA traits.
But like Javier Francis is not like Javier Francis playing 9. Like JoJo Tugler's not playing 31 minutes for you, and that's not how it works.
I mean, he did last night, and he was pretty.
I know that's the thing. I don't think that's what he's best for.
No,
like, and more than 9 minutes from Javier Francis.
And I mean,
I think you'll get 20 great minutes from Tugler is better than him playing for 31 minutes.
Well, and then Arsenault, Arsenault is coming off a pretty serious injury, so I'd assume like they're sort of ramping him up. But like it does say a lot about Houston that like they didn't even have to turn to any of their freshmen. They were not 9 deep last night, and neither McCarty or Mercy Miller, who I like a lot, played. Same with Cedric Lath, who was playing real minutes for them down the stretch last year. But if you're gonna like point out a concern for Houston, it's the fact that like they did turn Auburn over 12 times and weren't able to win this game, because like that's what Houston does. They turn you over with their blitz, and they were able to do that to a pretty large extent against Auburn. And
I mean, not really. Like, that's not like a 19% turnover rate. Like, they were 24 last year.
Yeah, that's true. I guess like the amount of possessions, just I didn't really factor that in.
Like, they turned it over. They turned Auburn over at a 19% rate. They're usually, like, last couple of years, they've been what, 24, 21, 21, 21.
Yeah.
All
right, I'll take my L on that.
Don't worry, it's fine.
Houston also turned it over 10 times themselves, so it's not like there was a massive disparity.
I mean, that's not like 10 times is not a lot of turnover.
No. I'm just adding on that, like, if Houston does turn you over, like the one way to negate turning teams over is to turn it over yourself.
Yeah, it's just like 71% from inside the arc for Auburn. I think this game says more about Auburn than it does about Houston.
Yeah, and I don't have the data in front of me that like tells you like how many of these were live ball and anything like that, because that's really what Houston thrives off of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we didn't talk about it. Did you and Cole talk about Gonzaga Baylor on Tuesday?
Yes, we did.
Okay. What? Let's then turn to another game that took place yesterday, and then we'll go to UNC Kansas after that. But I want to talk about Baylor Arkansas mainly because I haven't seen a thing from this game. Like, I was at the Mizzou football game last night. I got to rewatch the Auburn-Houston game. I did that specifically to write Rise and Shine today. But I didn't see this final. Baylor 72, Arkansas 67. It was a much-needed bounce-back win for Baylor after what happened to them Monday night in Washington. But what were your sort of takeaways? Because just like looking at this box score, like, there's not like a ton here that stands out to me.
I haven't gone back and watched the full game yet, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't have time, but I've watched a good amount of it. Rob Wright has been awesome for Baylor these first two games.
Mm-hmm.
This Baylor backcourt is going to be really good. Rob Wright is too good to not play, and that is a good problem to have. I thought VJ Edgecombe was a little bit better in this game than he was in the first game, I would say. Didn't have his best game, but didn't need to have his best game. Omier was more comfortable. And they really just, John L. Davis didn't show up. Like, he was really a no-show in this game. I watched back a bunch of this game, and I felt like he wasn't there. And they need him to be there. They really do. He's the best player on this team. If John L. Davis is not the best player on this team, that's a problem.
So, very weird question for you. You believe that FAU had other good players the last couple of years outside of John L. Davis, right?
Correct.
Like, players that, like, if they were on Arkansas, like, it wouldn't like be terribly shocking.
Vlad Golden is better than Ivasic, and he's as good as they do.
And you can probably say similar things about Elijah Martin too.
Elijah Martin would be their second best guard.
So, do you think it's at all concerning that the best player on this Arkansas team is John L. Davis, and that's led to 2 9 seeds the last couple of years? Is that what Arkansas is going to be?
It's an interesting thought that I haven't thought about really ever. Now, they were better than a 9 seed 2 years ago.
I agree with that. 100, and we said that at the time.
Yeah, I mean, they won 30 games. Mm-hmm. And I think this team, like, overall is going to be, it's more talented.
On a surface level, I agree.
And the upside is higher than those FAU teams. And I think that's what they're banking on, because Boogie Fland has been really good in this.
He is really good.
I didn't see it with him when I watched him in person. I kind of thought it was nonchalant. It wasn't, but like, that's just who he is. Like, he's that good. Like, I kind of like, it looked like he was taking it easy, but that's just, he makes basketball look easy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's just been really impressive for me. But they need more from Davis and Wagner. I'm not concerned about Davis. I mean, he's good. He's going to be really good. It's just he was a no-show in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to point out something that I don't think, is an immediate cause for concern, but just something that that we should note. Right now, Arkansas's 312th in assists to field goals made ratio. They don't have a point guard, and we said that all.
I mean, Boogie's been their point guard, and he's done a solid job of that. I mean, Boogie has 10 assists and 1 turnover. I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that there's not enough is that Boogie can be a solid primary creator. I don't think there's anybody else on this team, though. And I think Boogie is probably best off the ball, but he can play on the ball. I don't think there's anyone else on this team, though, that really has playmaking instincts.
Wagner, I think.
I don't know if he's
playmaking for himself.
I don't think DJ Wagner's a point guard or anything near that. He's a small combo guard that doesn't shoot the 3-ball well. That's the concern with him. He needs to shoot.
Sure.
I mean, he has 3 assists to 6 turnovers in 2 games. Not that assist to turnover ratio is a great stat, but it's just the idea of look, John L. Davis is a heavy on ball, not necessarily isolation scorer, but isolation scorer. Adi Fierro is a wing. He did do a lot more on the ball stuff in this game, and he looked awesome because he is really good at basketball. I am very curious to see obviously DeJuan Harris had that big game against Kentucky last year. Is this Adu Fierro game that? I would lean it could be more closer to that than
which, I mean, if it is and you lost, not great.
I mean, I don't think Adu Fierro is going to go out there and average 15 a game. If he averages 9 or 10, that's good.
Right. If he's at 9 or 10, he's better than what Jacob Toppin was giving you a couple years ago, which is definitely a better.
I mean, he was 7 a game last year in 21 minutes.
Kansas UNC.
You take the lead on this one.
Okay. Honestly, this game should not have been as close as it was. Nor should UNC really have had, and UNC kind of blew their chance to win it at the end with some interesting decisions. But Jalen Withers hit a big 3. Washington hit a couple threes. UNC got back in this game in a very unconventional way because their guards started getting in the lane and Kansas just refused to guard the UNC bigs on the perimeter, which a lot of teams are going to do that against UNC this season, and typically it'll work. But I don't think I have any real takeaways about this game. I wasn't ready. When Kansas went up 15 in the first half, I wasn't ready to anoint them the number 1 team in the country.
Somebody was.
It's the first big game of the year at Allen Fieldhouse. Did people not think they were going to come out firing? I had Kansas minus 3.5 in the first half. It was never.
They were minus 7.5. That was the line.
Kansas is if you're ranking Kansas number 1 right now, why? Their KenPom rating dropped because of this.
I look at this game. Kansas got whatever they had 30 points at the rim. They were 15 of 21 at the rim. Mm-hmm. North Carolina still doesn't have good rim protection. That's concerning. 50 to 32 points in the paint. And also Kansas turned the ball over 4 times. North Carolina doesn't have long disruptive defenders outside of like Drake Powell and like Jalen Washington, but like if he's your rim protector, he's not being your long disruptive perimeter guy.
Right. I mean, they're very clearly missing Baycott and Harrison Ingram for that matter.
I think that a lot of this also is that Kansas is starting seniors, like senior, junior.
Sure.
Junior. Like they played underclassmen combined 12 minutes in this game. And like they don't have the ball in their hands. Passmore played 1 minute, Badunga played 11, and like Badunga doesn't get the ball in his hands. He just catches it in dunks or layup. Like,
yeah, he was very good in this game. But like,
yeah, I mean, Fleury's good.
Dude, like UNC would like kill to have a player like Fleury Badunga.
No doubt. Just super disruptive of a player. But they'd also kill to have a player like KJ Adams. Not even for what he did offensively, but for what he is defensively, obviously. Obviously, in this game, the offense was the story for him. He had 14 points. But because he was a mismatch for anybody on North Carolina.
Yeah.
I will say, Seth Trimble
made the Jonathan Litzkin breakout list.
Yeah, he looks like the breakout's real. 17 a game through the first two. Has taken and made big shots in the past. But like RJ Davis going 3 for 15, you're not going to win a ton of games when RJ Davis goes 3 for 15, especially on the road.
I'm worried there's a little bit of regression with him.
I agree. I think that
like
honestly him and maybe Sears too.
Yeah.
That's why I had Janai Broom.
It's just like, and that's probably one of the reasons that like the last like 4 years Biggs have won National Player of the Year. Like it's hard to be that good as a guard on a consistent basis, and RJ Davis takes a bunch of really hard shots. Not that he shouldn't be taking them because he's really freaking good, but I never really thought he was like gonna win like National Player of the Year. Like he doesn't always make things easy for himself, and you can say the same thing about Sears too. On the Kansas side of this, are we just at the point where like Hunter Dickinson is going to have 20 and 10 in every game, no matter what the result is?
Does that make him the best player in the country or the least impactful player in the country?
He is.
Like that's like a genuine question too.
There's a part of it where it's like, okay, like he's like consistent. He's really consistent, but like there is like he has his ceiling kind of is what it is at this point. He also like
his ceiling has been what it is for the last 4 years.
He needs to stop taking threes.
Like he added the moderate 3-point shot his sophomore year, and he hasn't changed as a player since.
He also last year him taking threes and shooting at 33% or whatever it was fine because Kansas had nobody on the roster that could shoot outside of Johnny Furphy. But you built a roster to be a better 3-point shooting team this year. And like now those are bad shots. Like, dude, go get your ass on the block. He also still can't go to his right hand, but like that's probably why his ceiling is capped at this point.
Those are the takeaways from those games, Jonathan.
I wrote about him on Friday night for Rise and Shine. Zeke Mayo looked unbelievable. Like he's a Lawrence kid. Good for him. Glad he got his moment at Allen Fieldhouse to play.
I wonder where he's going to transfer.
There were Zeke Mayo to Kansas rumors 2 years ago.
There were Zeke Mayo to Kansas rumors like 3 years ago.
And boy, would he have helped last year's team.
Better late than never. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm not ready to anoint Kansas as this number one team. They might be.
They're not. They're not the best team in the country.
Like, they might be. I'm not ready to make any sort of those judgments. We're a week into the season. I won't be ready to make those judgments like in 2 weeks from now.
I'm not ready to say UConn isn't the best team in the country, and I didn't have them as the best team in the country preseason. Like that's the thing. Like there are like 6 teams that you could say are the best team in the country.
It's always an interesting landscape. This time of year. Oh, Ken Palm just.
Like, if you told me Duke's the best team in the country, I'd say okay, like sure.
All right. Can we talk about New Mexico, UCLA?
I just gave you a segue to talk about Duke.
Dude, there's nothing with Duke to talk about. Like, they played Maine, who actually like is pretty good for their league. And Army, who's
Maine got a big win today at Brown.
Like, Duke won on Friday night by what was it, 100-58?
Yes.
Yeah. So they won by what, 38, 30 or whatever it was, 42.
42.
Yeah, I'm the greatest.
Cooper Flag.
Dude, Flag. They missed. They won by 42. They missed like 10 straight wide open threes to start the game.
Cooper Flag is 7th in Ken Palm National Player of the Year right now. His effective field goal percentage is 48. Like, he's not like he hasn't like come close to how good he can be, and he has a 5.6 block rate and a 5 steal rate.
Yeah. I mean, this team is just so well rounded. Like, I mean, James looks good. Gillis has done his thing. I didn't think Malik has looked particularly good in the first 2 games in the exhibition. I mean, Kaman had 14 boards. Granted, they're playing Army, but still.
Yeah, we can talk about New Mexico UCLA. I didn't get to see all this game,
so I was like kind of following it. So I watched a little of it at the station, and then caught the rest of it like box score watching. But like, UCLA has no alpha.
They're gonna have a different guy lead them in scoring every game. I know it's been Tyler Bilodeau each of the first 2 games, but like Tyler Bilodeau is not an alpha. I'm sorry. Like, if Tyler Bilodeau, if we look up at the end of the season and Tyler Bilodeau is averaging 17 and 8, I'll apologize.
Tyler Bilodeau was the second best player on an Oregon State team that was absolutely awful last year.
I will say he's been really good for UCLA.
No, he has, but like if he's your best player,
I thought he looked awesome against Ryder, which I honestly watched more of than the New Mexico game.
Okay, like it's just that you look at you see that the teams that Mick Cronin has that have been really good in the past, and like they just like have a bunch of dogs. And
he had one core that really kind of put, like, he had Jaquez, Campbell.
And you can kind of say the same thing about Cincinnati.
With
Cumberland and Justin Jennifer and Clark.
Yeah. I think he had good teams with Kilpatrick and Yancey Gates.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure.
No, like we're not like coming to conclusions here about McCronin.
And like Copain obviously like was really good. But like I think he's only been at UCLA for 6 years. This is his 6th year. So like, yeah, okay. We can give him last year. Like, and like that first core was the core he brought in his first year. 2020 UCLA, the freshman class was Jaquez, Tiger Campbell, Sharif O'Neal. Oh my God.
Jaquez wasn't he transferred there, but
no, yeah. Juzang transferred there.
You're right.
Juzang came in 2021.
Juzang was at Kentucky.
Yes. And like then they bring in Jalen Clark too. Onuba was part of that first recruiting class. Oh no, wait, he was there before he got there.
Can we just like be done with this like Sky Clark stuff?
Dude, Sky Clark's like the 6th best guard on this team.
Like, why is he playing 29 minutes for you?
I don't get why he's playing 29 and Sebastian Mack is playing 10.
You had a very clear, like, as bad as last season was, one of the big takeaways, one of the positive takeaways that you could bring into this year was that you got to play Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack, 2 guys that were really young, a ton. And like they gained valuable experience. And now you're just like sort of pivoting away from Mack and going with Clark. And like It just does them taking him does not make sense to me at all.
Also, like William Kyle playing, like why is William Kyle coming off the bench for this team?
I mean, I don't think Tyler Bilodeau's is like a good center, but like
I think Tyler Bilodeau's like a 4-5. Kyle's like a 5-4.
I just don't think he just can't guard fives.
Like I don't even think William Kyle's that good. I just think he's important for what they want to do, for what they're going to have to do on the inside.
Yeah, like
I said this preseason, and I'm going to keep saying it. UCLA is going to have a lot of trouble figuring out who to play when, where, and with who for the first 3 months of the season. And if by February they're not, if by February they have like 8 or 9 losses already, like that's gonna be concerning.
I'll give you some help. Sky Clark, not in the United States, and with no one. I'd like to see them try Trent Perry as their starting.
I'm actually not going to get to see UCLA in person. I'm getting the second game of that CBS Sports Classic, which is
Kentucky, Ohio State. UNC Ohio State this year, or Kentucky Ohio State?
Kentucky Ohio State.
Okay.
Ooh, I get to cover Mark Pope, the greatest coach ever, with no plausible deniability. I can't wait for the Champions Classic when we actually talk about plausible deniability.
Well, I mean, that game worries me a little on Tuesday, but I'm also worried about every Duke game. Like,
Kentucky. Oh no, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'm just excited to talk about it.
I'm excited for Kansas to beat Michigan State by 12, and for Twitter to decide that Michigan State shouldn't be in the Champions Classic anymore.
That's like 2 points apart.
Very clear, by the way, that New Mexico had the better.
Actually, hold on. You know what I would not be surprised at all by? What? If Izzo just has like one of those like random throwback games.
No. Not against Self.
I don't know. He did it against Scott Drew last year.
Dude, that was just a pure regression game for like both teams.
I could see like just it's not the likely scenario, it's the funny scenario. Where he had one of those random games.
Didn't you say last year before the Michigan State Baylor game that you've like never seen a more obvious Michigan State win in your life?
Yeah, that's what I said.
And then they won by 25.
And then didn't I say something similar before the Illinois game? And we had Greg Waddell on the podcast, and he was like, "You're crazy."
I think so.
They lost to Minnesota. Of course, they were going to bounce back with.
By the way, real clear answer here on why New Mexico won this game. Like, New Mexico had really good guards, and UCLA didn't. Dent was awesome. Noland was great. I think True Washington will be much better as the season goes along.
And New Mexico's really still figuring out that bench rotation, like who's gonna kind of play.
Yeah, only 2 guys played 10 plus minutes.
I think Atiki is gonna have to be a piece there. He's gonna have to play more than 7 minutes probably, because I don't think Nelly is a 33-minute guy. Now maybe he is, and he's just he's a 5th-year senior now, so like maybe he is. Who knows? But I mean, I watched the guy for 3 years at Iona. I don't think he's a 33-minute a game guy. He's good, and he was good in this game. 6 for 8 from the line. That's also especially notable that he is in 2 games this season, 80% from the line on 20 attempts. That doesn't happen for Nelly. He was 54% from the line last year. That is a huge development.
There were 50 fouls in this game also. Very November basketball game. You want to talk Tennessee Louisville?
Oh God.
And Tennessee controlled this game from tip to finish. But you know what? Man, those Cardinals played hard.
Look, I'm not concerned about Louisville. It's too early to be concerned about Louisville. And I don't think I was like overly like, oh my God, about this Tennessee team. Like, they turned it over 20 times. I mean, they hit 10 threes and they were just better.
Have people like not watched? I mean, like I thought Louisville obviously had a chance, but like to have people not watched Tennessee for like years under Rick Barnes, like they do this to teams. They do this to good teams.
I think they won a game like 61-42 against like a top 20 team 2 years ago. What game was that?
I can't remember, but that does sound very familiar.
I swear it happened.
I liked Isaac Trotter's analysis of this. He said Louisville doesn't have enough guards who can create advantages against Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack to generate high quality threes. The upside is that outside of Duke.
Oh, I'm thinking of when they played Maryland at the Barclays Center and they were up 20 in the first half without Adu and JJJ, but they ended up winning by 3.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like basically,
but they played Kansas and Maui and they won 64-50. Sorry, Atlantis.
Louisville, like Tennessee is always really good at defending the point of attack, and like as good as Pat Kelsey's system is, like playing and moving the ball fast is like not always going to beat that. Noah Waterman wearing 93 is a disgrace and is the real reason they lost this game.
Yeah, I mean, like Rick Barnes' Tennessee team does this to you guys. Does this to teams. You said it. It took Louisville way too long to get into the flow of this game. And by the time they did, they couldn't get back into it at any point because they were just chucking threes. And they were just chucking threes early in the clock. And that's that's not like chucking threes versus creating threes, two different things. A lot of times, Louisville or I've seen Kelsey teams create threes in transition. I've seen them do that. But this was a 67 possession game. This was not a super fast game. Louisville is going to want to play games 73 possessions, 74 possessions, 75 plus possessions. Morehead State was 75 possessions, and they took 36 threes. This game was 67 possessions, and they took 39. They were chucking threes, and they were chucking them in the half court. They were chucking them in transition, and they were not all great shots. That's why they were 10 for 39. And they couldn't do anything in the paint, obviously. Felix Akpara's impact was there. I thought JP Estrella put in a fine shift. Cade Phillips really impressed me.
Tennessee does an underrated job developing internally.
I was surprised how well Cade Phillips played. And I just want to see more Cameron Carr. I don't know whose minutes he's going to take away. I don't think he should take away anyone's minutes. But, man, I thought he was really good in high school, and I want to see more of him.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I think Rick Barnes did a phenomenal job building this roster because, you know, it's not easy to ever lose a guy like Dalton Connect. And they didn't try to replace Connect. Rick Barnes, what he did was they stayed to their roots. They knew they were going to be a really good defensive team. That's why they added Milicic. That's why they added Akpara. He has done a really nice job over the last couple of years adjusting and getting that one guy who's going to be really good offensively for them and maybe not give you a ton defensively, but they can make that sacrifice for the betterment of the team. And Chaz Lanier had 19 for them in this game.
Chaz was going to become MVP. If Chaz is going to score 19 a game, if he's going to score 17 a game, if he's going to score 15 a game, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the situation with D-Stone is. I think they're going to need him at some point.
He was something personal related, right?
Yeah. They have Baha Mar in 2 weeks or in a week and a half.
Who did they play there?
Virginia is the first game. They have Montana and Austin P coming up at home, so not gimme bye games.
Austin P, big win on Friday. So, is there anything from the last couple days that we haven't discussed yet that you want to really dive into, or do you want to open this up broader?
I mean, did you get to watch Wake Forest, Michigan?
I caught a little of it. Wake shot the ball really poorly at the start of the game, but like like these are two teams that I thought were pretty evenly matched talent-wise. I don't think Michigan shot their best from three, and that's a Michigan team that's going to shoot a lot of threes. So,
hey, do you guys remember what I told you on the ACC preview? Trayvon Spillers.
yeah.
Trayvon Spillers in this game, 16 points in 29 minutes, 5 rebounds. He hit 2 threes. Trayvon Spillers is that guy. Trayvon Spillers is the guy that Wake Forest didn't have last year. They didn't have a body like him in the front court that can be a two-way guy. They had Efton Reed, who was kind of catch and dunk. They had Andrew Carr, who was he's not a great defender, but a really efficient offensive player and can do a lot of things for them. Now they have Trayvon Spillers, who's going to fight on both ends. They have a two-way guy. They have a versatile guy. And I think that's going to really help them. Danny Wolf was off his game. I think it's going to take him a while to kind of get used to playing the 4. Even when he was at the 5, I thought he struggled a little bit.
Michigan had 7.
I still think their best lineups are with one of the bigs, not with both bigs. You got to have, like, Sam Walters was good today.
Yeah, and I think Sam Walters is going to be really good for them all season.
I think Sam Walters has to play.
I think this, like, on a surface level, like, you can kind of point to the fact that, like, Michigan had 7 guys score 8 or more points. Like, that's kind of more or less what, like, the best games for FAU were when Dusty was there. And, like, I think it just comes down to, like, the fact that they didn't make enough threes. You know, they shot 30% from 3. That's going to be uncharacteristic for them.
Vlad didn't do enough. Like, Vlad was 15 a game last year. He had 8 in this game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we know that Wake has good interior defense.
I mean, I didn't think Hunter Salas played, like, his best game. He had a good game. He did enough. I want to know what the deal with Tyler Johnson is. Is he hurt?
Yeah. Duke Harris had a nice game. Freshman out of North Carolina.
Good freshman. Omaha, 14 minutes off the bench. Still a work in progress. I see why I get why Iowa State like kind of let him go, but I think that he's gonna work his way and be a good piece for this Wake team. Like, there was just, especially bringing in Jefferson, there was just no path to good minutes at Iowa State.
North Florida's 3-0 and has wins over South Carolina and Georgia Tech.
Chaz Lanier addition by subtraction?
We were just talking so highly about him.
No, but the freshman, Josh Harris, has been pretty good. They've gotten good stuff from sophomores. I'm not sure this team is one of the top teams in the A-Sun right now, because I think Lipscomb's the best team in the A-Sun. Jacksonville's going to be good.
You know who they have on Tuesday, right?
Oh my God! No way! North Florida plays Georgia.
Yeah,
Georgia,
baby.
by the way, looked really good today.
They did.
They have played each of their first 2 games at a 72 possession pace. Mike White I've never really thought of Mike White as like a play super fast guy. He was a pretty slow guy at Florida. He's been faster at Georgia, but it's really interesting with all the athletes that they have just trying to lean into playing fast.
Mm-hmm. They should.
Maybe it's just who they're playing. But Dakota LaFew had a really good game today.
This could end up being a fun Atlantic Sun.
Yeah, I mean North Florida's up to 139 in KenPom.
Well, Lipscomb's the favorite. They've looked pretty good in the first week.
And Austin P beat Butler.
Austin P beat Butler. Eastern Kentucky under the radar. Eastern Kentucky on Friday won at East Tennessee State.
Yeah, they don't have a lot returning, but they have Devontae Blanton back, who was like the preseason player of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
just had a difficult season.
North Alabama's 2-0. Won at Air Force by 16.
Yay.
Just kind of reading A-Sun results here.
Yes, Stetson might have a
Underrated league.
rough year. They lost at home to Omaha. Stetson's not going to guard anything. They didn't guard anything last year, and they're not going to guard anything this year. Alesso's a fun freshman though. Hasn't really been great first 2 games.
Do you know how long Matthew Driscoll's been at North Florida?
Like 15 years.
Yeah, this is like his 15th year. They have finished with double-digit conference wins 5, 6 times.
There's a San Jose State-Hawaii game right now. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Tim Miles watching.
I got to turn that game on. I thought we were doing a show and there were no games on.
Tough weekend for the Valley if we want to go Valley update now.
I was gonna talk Dayton Northwestern.
Oh, okay, let's. Barnheiser didn't play.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I can take away for Northwestern from this game. Just the fact that like Martinelli's going to be really good, Barnheiser's going to be really good. Like, if KJ Wyndham and Angelo and Angelo are like 2 key guys for them, like, not that those guys are bad, but it's concerning for the depth of this team. It's concerning for the
They have no point guard if Barnheiser's not playing.
And like Barnheiser's not a point guard. He's gonna be their ball handler and like booty ball stuff. And sure. But like Jalen Leach, 2 games this year. Obviously he was solid against Lehigh. That was the level he dominated last year. He was awesome in the MAC. The Patriot League is worse than the MAC. He played against an A10 team, and he didn't look like a Big Ten caliber player.
No,
I think he'll be fine.
I mean, but also like,
I know
you led by 8 at half without your best player. You lost by 5 on the road against a team that like we think is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned about the ceiling for this team.
I mean, I think everyone kind of is.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't really think anybody had a high ceiling expectation for them.
This
is an important win for Dayton. You could not lose this game.
Yeah, if Northwestern gets to the NCAA tournament this year, it's going to look very different than it did last year.
You could not lose this game if you were Dayton. And like Malachi Smith, like if Malachi Smith is healthy and good, man, that makes such a difference for Dayton. He hasn't been healthy and good since his freshman year, 2022. That was a long time ago.
I like starting him and Javon Bennett together. Because if you put one of them on the bench in favor of, another guy on this team, you're basically playing 4-on-5 on offense.
Yeah, Posh was bad.
Great defender. Cannot play offense.
Yeah, but like Northwestern had a big lead in this game. Yeah.
My through 2 games, my National Player of the Year pick is averaging 28 points, 3 rebounds, and 5.5 assists.
Who was your National Player of the Year pick?
Cam Jones.
Right.
His shot diet is going to be insane.
Yeah, he's going to average a crap ton of points. Do we have anything to say about Marquette? Like they beat George Mason.
George Mason's not a bad team, but like they sneaked away from him.
Dude, Katie Johnson's coming off the bench.
As he probably should.
I'm surprised at how little run JQ has gotten.
Right, like
they've gone to Justin Begg, a freshman, a little bit more. He played 15 minutes against Carolina Central, 7 minutes against Marquette, but like that, this is early season stuff. They're still figuring stuff out. Mm-hmm. I think Braden O'Connor's okay. We don't need to talk about George Mason.
David Joplin had 27 in this game and 8 rebounds, 10 rebounds.
Valley update?
Yeah. Oh boy, it was a tough. It was a tough
Let's go.
week.
Valley update.
It was a tough weekend, man. The week started so strong, so encouraging. Northern Iowa blasted Milwaukee on Wednesday. No, it was Thursday. They beat a bunch of D1, like non-D1s, couple decent wins in there during the week, like some overall encouraging performances from some of the bottom teams, but you know, kind of the wheels fell off over the weekend, man. Like we did, like UIC beat Yale on Friday night, which was an incredible win for the conference, and they got some performances in that game from guys that like I didn't really think were going to be big time contributors for this team. Tyam Freeman had 19 off the bench for them. He was at Kent State, UCF before that. But yeah, like that's a really encouraging for Rob Asan and the new regime at UIC. But like, man, they took some beatings. Washington State blasted Bradley on Friday night. And scored a ton in the process, which is why you see Sam Fetterman pumping his fist and smiling right now. Belmont lost on a buzzer beater to Furman. Like, obviously, Furman's well coached. We knew that was going to be a tough one. Belmont also didn't have a starter in that game. So, not like, it's a tough one, but not overly concerning. Illinois State did beat North Dakota State on Thursday, which North Dakota State's not that good, but I guess Illinois State really needed that win after the UT Martin loss on Monday. What else do I want to talk about? I was watching a lot of Northern Iowa UC Irvine today. I believe in what Northern Iowa is doing and this roster, especially if RJ Taylor is playing this well as their starting point guard. But man, UC Irvine is a really tough cover. This team basically has no best player. I guess you could argue that I don't know, maybe Bent ends up being their best player if he's gonna play more minutes. But they have 7 or 8 guys that not all of them can shoot the three because they're not a 3-point shooting team, but all of them can get the ball in the basket in a variety of different ways. They're just so balanced and so deep that it's so tough to prepare for them. And Northern Iowa just had no idea how to guard this team today.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the Valley update.
Drake also beat SFA today at home, which was a good win.
Love Drake so far.
Mm-hmm. They're passing the eye test right now, despite what a certain Missouri Valley account said on Twitter earlier this week.
I'm not familiar, but
dude, there's a new Missouri Valley account on Twitter called Valley Update or something like that.
It's called Valley Update?
I think it's called Valley Update actually.
It kind of ruins the whole vibe here.
Valley Updates. I'd have to go find this, but they quote tweeted the Drake team picture and said
oh, I saw that. That was weird. That was weird.
This team doesn't pass the eye test. It's why? So that was but Drake is passing the eye test right now. They won a game in the mud today.
Can we talk San Francisco?
Oh yeah, we can talk San Francisco.
They escaped Cal Poly. Cal Poly played them tough on Tuesday, but man, last night, this is the caliber of team that San Francisco is. They are.
I told you this last night on the phone. If San Francisco, I was really high on San Francisco. They were in the low 60s, high 50s in my rankings to start the season. If San Francisco's guards are going to be their best players, it completely changes how I view this team in a very positive way because they have the athletic ability in the front court to compete with anybody, any front court in the country. But if Malik Thomas, Tyrone Riley, and Marcus Williams are going to be this good, they haven't gotten really much out of Rivera Torres or Beasley, and they still won. They still managed to get a really good win over a Boise team that we both think is good.
This starting 5 is awesome.
Yeah.
Thomas, Williams, especially with Tyrone Riley being this good. He's one of the best freshmen in college basketball right now. And then Chips Newberry and Carlton Lingard. They have all of the defensive length and athleticism to bother you. And then they have guys that can get up and down the court in a flash in transition. Yeah. They have guys that can hit shots in the half court. They have rebounding. I mean, they were 37-30 on the glass in this game. San Francisco really has all the tools to be the second best team in the WCC. I wouldn't bet on that because we know what St. Mary's is doing every year. Mm-hmm. But San Francisco has all the tools with this athleticism and this, like, how good these guards are. And, like, Beasley coming off the bench, too. Like, he's really good as well. There's a lot to love about San Francisco. Chris Jurelson is awesome. And this win against Boise State, it's going to look good on a resume. It's going to be quad 2 probably when it's all said and done. Like, they play Memphis at Chase Center November 21st.
Yep, 11 days.
Then they play Clemson in Daytona Beach.
I'm assuming that's part of an MTE.
It is. I'm not sure what the MTE is, but we'll learn a lot about San Francisco the last 10 days of this month. And then they have a couple really interesting teams coming up after that. They have St. Louis, Loyola Chicago, at Bradley. Like, San Francisco's giving themselves a chance to be an at-large team.
Yeah.
And just stack up some like quad 2s.
Right. Like, and at that point, if you can do that successfully, it's going to come down to, like, how many times do you beat Mary's and Gonzaga and even Santa Clara and
Washington State
and how many times do you lose to, like,
year?
Huh?
This is going to be a really good year for the WCC.
Oh yeah, and
even if St. Mary's isn't quite as good as they usually are, and they're still 43rd in KenPom.
People will still turn around in February and, like, try to knock Gonzaga for it.
And honestly, you know who's been good so far this year? They've played nobody.
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Like, they've looked solid. They have not messed around against Utah Tech and Weber State.
Hammered a Weber State team that
those
was
are
like,
teams that they've messed around against in the past.
They hammered a
double
Weber
overtime
State
with
like,
Cal Poly last year, and that was your father's Cal Poly.
They hammered a Weber State team who was, like, getting some love to win the Big Sky. Like I'd be lying if I, like, was looking at this roster and, like, told you I was impressed. Like, I was far from it in the preseason, but, like, yeah, at least they've, like, taken care of business. Got to give them credit for that.
I mean, the team that I've maybe bitten, and you kind of said it, like, UC Irvine, not WCC, but Big West.
Dude,
not super familiar with UC Irvine over the years. Like, they've been, like, so good for so long that I feel like we should talk about them more.
Dude, by the way, like, that Northern Iowa game today was, like, a really tough trip because, like, they played 2 days ago.
They played 2 days ago in LA, and
by the way, like, hammered a Loyola Marymount team that, like, is not terrible.
They killed them defensively. They were 0.74 points per possession. And then today, Northern Iowa, 0.87 points per possession. This is a Northern Iowa team that just dropped 87, 1.28 points per possession on Milwaukee. Granted, Milwaukee doesn't guard anything.
Correct.
But UC Irvine is awesome on the defensive end. Bert Lichten is really good, too. Miles Shea is there now. He was at Chattanooga last year.
I'm telling you,
Andre Henry, Justin Home.
This UC Irvine team is going to have, like, 8 different guys win a KenPom MVP this year.
They play Pepperdine next Saturday in Weber State. They don't really have any, like, they don't have any resume games. Like, that's the thing.
No, but
they don't have an at-large shot. I'm going to say it. They're going to lose 4 or 5 games in that league. The league is too good. I think I know they were 17.
Right now, KenPom projects them to go 26-6, 17-3 in league.
Like, I know they went 17-3
if they lose in their conference title and are sitting at, like, 28-7, they will probably not make the tournament, but they will be in the at-large conversation.
No.
At 28-7,
they'll have no wins.
Dude, Did you think Indiana State was last year?
Indiana State was. Will they be as high in the metrics as Indiana State was?
Well, I mean, that's obvious. That's a separate question.
I don't know. Indiana State was like 28th in strength of in wins above bubble. They were like 35th in strength of record.
Yeah, because they hammered everyone. UC Irvine's doing that right now.
You have a point. Maybe it's my shirts bias because I like shirts and I like Russell Turner too.
No, you know what it is? It's your Magpio bias.
Yeah.
Any other like egregious buy game losses that we need to talk about?
Honestly, I don't think there's been like terrible buy game losses off the top of my head.
I don't know if you saw this today, by the way. Mizzou women's basketball lost to Norfolk State.
Oh, Norfolk State women are legit though.
Like, I know that like they won their conference like that.
No, like, they're in top 100.
Dude, it was their first ever win over like a high major team.
Dude, they're top 100.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
They won like 28 games last year.
Am I like crazy, or did like the MAC have like a really, really good opening week?
My MAC?
Yes, your MAC.
Yeah, we won 3 buy games. Ryder over San Diego. I think that was a buy game. I'm pretty sure that was a buy game. And then we got we didn't win 3 buy games. We won 2, and then Merrimack beat Vermont.
Okay.
It just felt like a buy game win.
What was the other buy?
Marist beat Richmond.
Right.
We had a good week. Today was bad. Niagara. Oh man. Niagara had 32 seconds on the clock when they got the ball. Tie game. Do you know what shot they got off?
What?
None. It was a shot clock violation.
Jesus.
They lost in overtime to Detroit Mercy.
Real shame.
They're better this year, though. I would say Maine had a good week. Don't mess around with the local D3. Put on a solid showing for the first half against Duke. Go on the road and beat Brown. Quinnipiac. The next 2 games for Maine at Quinnipiac, at Richmond. If they can go to Hamden, if they can pick up a win in Hamden, the Quinnipiac, I would start to sound alarms on Quinnipiac if that happened, because they would fall to 0-3 in Division I games.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first 2 are Yale and St. John's. They've lost by 26 and 23. But like Maine Quinnipiac is something I'll have my eye on Friday for sure.
I got a comment, by the way, from a fan of the podcast.
Go ahead.
It reads, at this point, it sounds like you two haven't touched grass since the last time the Big Ten won the NCAA tournament. Neither of us were born.
Who is that from?
Benjamin PK.
Okay, stop that.
The offices of Benjamin PK.
Iowa State only plays on Mondays until like the MTEs.
What?
They play Monday the 4th, Monday the 11th, Monday the 18th, and then their first game of the MTE of Maui is on Monday the 25th.
Dude, their non-conference scheduling is like such a gimmick.
Hey, they have Marquette this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like they'll probably kill Iowa because it feels like they always kill Iowa.
Iowa killed them like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, but that Iowa State team was like a total disgrace.
No, they weren't.
Like I know they got a 6 seed.
They finished 29th in KenPom. They were only bad because Caleb Grill left the team, and the only team they could beat was Baylor.
Yeah. They lost. I want to say they lost like 4 in a row to end the regular season, and then like they went out in the first quarter.
No, they beat Baylor at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, and then they beat them again by like 15 in the conference tournament.
No, they beat them by 15 at Foster at.
I have my games confused.
In Waco, and then they come out and they didn't score for the first 10 minutes of the NCAA tournament.
It was awesome. Not the first time that's happened to somebody in recent years.
Anyway, Iowa State's going to be really good. Did you get to see Gonzaga Arizona State today?
Little of it.
Braden Huff, man,
dude.
That's another scoring option.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not super surprised. Like, he scored a ton in high school. He's really skilled.
11 assists, no turnovers for Nemhard, steadying the ship whenever they need him to. Man, Arizona State had some good moments today, but they're bad. They're just bad.
See, I'm not ready to call them bad yet. I still think they have some talent, but
they're talented, but I think they're playing better than I thought they would at this point. They're gonna lose to Grand Canyon on Thursday. And they're going to drop a stupid game somewhere. I don't know where. They're gonna drop a stupid.
Is Grant Foster gonna play?
Maybe, I don't know.
That kind of, affects things.
Dude, Grand Canyon. That Grand Canyon Western Kentucky game last night ruled.
Yeah, no, Western Kentucky.
It's unfortunate though. Western Kentucky should have won.
People are going to write off Western, or not write off Western Kentucky, but people are going to kind of turn a blind eye to them now because they went 0-2 in these games. But they lost to two good teams.
Yeah, they have Lipscomb next Sunday. That's going to be a game to watch. You said this to me about Old Dominion last night. What did you say about say what you said about Old Dominion?
Oh, my bold prediction is for Old Dominion is that they will finish 360th or lower in KenPom, which is bottom 5.
Yeah.
That seems awful.
They lost 102-44 against Arizona yesterday. Just manhandling.
Yeah, you know what they did earlier this week?
Oh, they lost to Buffalo at home.
Yeah.
Is Randolph-Macon good?
I have no idea.
Well, we're about to figure out. Randolph-Macon basketball.
Name searching.
Uh-oh. Randolph-Macon went 25-5 last year. That's a good D3.
Am
I allowed to put Old Dominion on upset watch against a D3?
Yes.
That's next week, not this week.
You're still allowed to.
I'm not doing it yet. I have to see if they lose at home to Maryland Eastern Shore before I do that.
I'm putting Missouri State on upset watch tomorrow. I'm not actually. Who
are they playing that it would be an upset?
They play Missouri Southern State. I have lived in Missouri for 4 years. I have never heard of this team.
Bacho. Daniel Bacho. That guy rules.
Oh, it's in Joplin.
Louisiana Tech is awesome. Louisiana Tech plays UMass in Nassau Coliseum on Wednesday.
All right.
I think they'll win that. I think they'll be 5-0 when they go to Memphis on December 4th. And I think they'll win that. Moving on. I just said I think Louisiana Tech's going to win at Memphis, and your response is putting a comment on the board.
I realized I had not wished you happy birthday on the show yet, even though I wished you it last night.
Memphis had a good week, though. Memphis had a good week.
Memphis did have a good week.
I just think that I think that might be their best week of non-conference play.
I have a theory that Kevin Kruger has never beaten anyone above a 75 in KenPom since he took the UNLV job. I have no idea if that's actually true, but
they beat Creighton last year.
It feels like every time they play anyone worth a damn, they lose.
They beat Princeton in the NIT.
Last year, they got the Boone brothers back, and everyone was convinced that they were going to go on a run and win the Mountain West tournament, and then they just lost to San Diego State.
All right. Mississippi State up to 20th in KenPom.
Dude, I was kind of...
They're playing fast. They are the 6th fastest team offensively in the country right now.
I mean...
they've played West Georgia and Georgia State, so maybe we'll come back after Feast Week on them. But just something to note, stylistically.
My thing is, like, Chris Jans, like, didn't always have, like, these, like, defensive-focused teams at New Mexico State. Like, he was building the program over the first couple years. It was probably the easiest way for him to take that roster at its current state and, like, be good as quick as they possibly could.
I'm just surprised. I'm not surprised, like, with the roster that they're playing faster. I'm surprised that, like, they're just, like, they're hitting as many shots as they are this early. Maybe I shouldn't be considering who they've played.
Fair.
Hubbard St. John's.
Hubbard and Harris are just going to be
St. John's looked unreal in that second half yesterday. They scored 61 points in the second half. Brady Dunlap hit 5 threes in that game. Kadari Richmond scored 3 points, and they won by 20 against a good MAC team. And they beat Fordham by 30 as well. Oh, by-game loss. Fordham against Seton Hall.
The Big East tallest hour.
Yeah, can we talk about the Big East?
Dude, was Villanova Columbia Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
So they lost by games in 3 out of 4 days.
Not good, Jim.
Nova to Columbia, Fordham over Seton Hall on Saturday, Friday Austin P over Butler.
The Big East is very concerning right now.
They lost three. Imagine me telling you on Monday morning that the Big East was going to lose 3 bye games this week, and neither one would be Georgetown or DePaul.
Georgetown allowed 77 points to Lehigh. They looked really good in the second half against Fairfield, though. Okay, I'm going to say it, like, Thomas Sorber.
Yep, that's a miss. Hand up.
Yep, that's on us. We were wrong. He's good. He's the best player on this team. And that's kind of a problem, I will say.
I think I looked at the Georgetown game at like half, the Georgetown Fairfield game yesterday at half, and Jaden Epps had like 3 points and like hadn't actually taken like that many shots. And I'm just like, why are you here? I'm like, if you're not going to shoot the ball, why are you here?
I mean, Providence looks shaky.
Georgetown is coming into the dome and winning
great. Xavier's down to 53 in KenPom. They were 33 to start the season.
Sam, I just, if this happens, I will be kicking you off the Discord and going in there myself and acting as you.
Dude, they already think I'm this all-time doomer, so they already think I'm an all-time doomer. But UConn is UConn.
You also forget that like Jaden Epps was at Illinois for a season.
No. UConn has played like a bad first 15 minutes of both of their games this year, and they've covered both games by literally a half point. Spreads were 35 and a half and 38 and a half.
Hey, KenPom's ratings don't care how much you win by. They do.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. UConn is covered by a half point.
So
Alex Caravan just blocks everything. Like, that's new. Alex Caravan with a block rate 5% higher than Donovan Clingan.
Yeah, he's currently 7th in the country right now.
Are you going to trivia time me?
Solo Ball is a superstar.
Are you going to trivia time me on the top 6?
Oh, I absolutely can. Well, just give me a second here.
Gabe Dines. I think Gabe Dines is going to be up there.
He is number 2. I have never heard of any of these guys.
Give me a team or a conference.
The SoCon.
Yeah, give me a team.
Vernon Collins from Western Carolina.
Would never get that in a million years.
25%.
Jesus Christ.
25.64 actually. The rest of the list is Dines is 2. Malcolm Wilson from Queens is at 21.74.
I could have gotten that.
Javar Daniel at Austin P. Michael Graham.
Why is it all the A-Sun?
Michael Graham at Hofstra. I bet you probably could have gotten that one.
I mean, he's played one Division I game.
And Jeremiah Evans at Louisiana.
Okay. Memphis had a good week.
You know who's 14th? Jaden Clayton.
Who?
You know who's 17th?
Who?
Mustafa Thiem.
Yeah, look at any other Mustafa Thiem stat. Actually, his offensive rating isn't bad.
Relax. It's early. Anything else?
Rutgers has played once. Dylan Harper looked good. Really
Ace
good.
Bailey did not play.
Ace didn't play. I'm excited to see Ace play hopefully soon. I was impressed with Nevada yesterday, just kind of taking care of business. Washington's going to stink. Somebody has to finish 18th in the Big Ten. It's going to be Washington or Minnesota.
Hand up for you on Kobe Sanders.
Yeah, he's good.
I just like my case against yours was just like, well, like, you know, they made Blackshear one of the best players in that conference last year. Don't see why they can't do it with Sanders.
Yeah, Patriot League had a weird weekend.
Did they?
Colgate goes to Drexel and loses by 17 to a Drexel team that we all think sucks. Because Kobe McGee just comes out and hits 5 threes, and then Colgate will come to the Dome. American loses to LaSalle, beats Harvard by 12. No Austin Hunt for Harvard in that game. Matt Rogers scored 6 points. An American beat Harvard by 12. That was impressive. Yeah, you can go on that after I finish talking about the Patriot League.
Okay.
Army beat Albany on night 1 of the season, and then lost to Duke. Loyola Maryland played tight with Columbia on opening night. Boston U is 0-2. They fought against Northeastern and San Diego. I thought they could have like those were toss-up games probably. They lost by 14 to San Diego, so maybe they didn't fight. That's on me. Northeastern, they had a 7-point lead in the second half. That was back and forth. It was a good game. 2 rivals. And speaking of Northeastern, back and forth game against Princeton today. Was really exciting. Harold Woods was awesome. Rashad King had 13 assists. Like Dalen Davis. Xavier Lee was 4 for 17 in this game.
Dude.
Caden Pierce was 3 for 8.
I'm telling you.
They did nothing. Like those guys weren't good today.
Dude,
Blake Peters hit 6 threes. Dalen Davis had 25 points. Malik Abdullahi had the big plays. Princeton is maybe not deep, but they have options.
Dude, they have 4 Chicago kids. It's a recipe for success.
Speaking of Chicago kids, you mentioned UIC. I just want to shout them out. Nice win over Yale. But back to the Patriot League, because I think the Patriot League is going to be really good this year. Bucknell, good week. Obviously, the loss to Kentucky yesterday, but the win against Delaware on the road, the win against Southern Indiana on the road. They host Richmond on next Saturday. They can beat Richmond at home. They'll play the Mount on Wednesday. I think they'll win that. But Jonathan, you can go on Colgate.
Real quick, you just did like a full Patriot update. So we obviously have the Valley update. Can you do a Patriot update every week and we'll call it the State of the Union? I just thought of that. I swear to God.
Maybe. Look, I mean, I like The Patriot League is like one of the leagues that I focus on. It's not like I'm not close to where you are with the Valley, though.
Fair. Okay. So Colgate Syracuse on Tuesday. You will be covering it. If Syracuse is a serious basketball team, they will win. Like, Colgate doesn't like. I know Colgate's beat them 2 of the last 3 times they've played.
Yeah, they beat him 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
Colgate does not scale up well to good teams, and we see that every year in the NCAA tournament. If Syracuse is a serious basketball team, they will beat Colgate quite easily.
It's a 15-point KenPom spread.
Like,
I don't trust Syracuse to win by 15. I don't think anybody can after what happened on Monday. That was a near disaster.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna.
Syracuse plays Youngstown State on Saturday.
I have serious doubts that
That's an interesting one.
My Fetterman bet on Tuesday for Syracuse Colgate will not be a side of that line. It will be.
Oh wait, you have to.
It will be something with the. It will be something with the total, or I'll find.
By the way, explain to the people what the Fetterman bets are.
Oh yeah, I decided about 2 weeks ago that I was going to do this with. I think Grant Salzman's following along too. Basically, Sam, my co-host, Mr. Fetterman here, he covers a lot of basketball games. A lot of them happen to be between teams that, depending on how you look at it, are not very good. My challenge, and it's going to help me broaden my knowledge of the sport of college basketball as a whole, is to find a bet for every single game this year that Sam Fetterman covers. I will be placing $10 on it, which is my unit size. So far, I am 1-2. We took a tough loss in that Cornell.
Can we talk about that game?
Cornell Sanford?
Yes. I've covered 174 college basketball games over the last 4 years. That's is wonderful. As good as any of them.
Yeah, it rocked. I mean, both teams were firing.
It was not San Diego State FAU. It was not Michigan State K-State. But if you just strip the team names and the size of the game, it's up there with any of them. 7 lead changes, 8 ties, back and forth, kill shots. Cornell had 2 kill shots, and they were still about to lose the game. That game was so good down to the final seconds and had the perfect ending. Buzzer beater.
No, if you throw out the context of who was playing in that game, that will be the best basketball game you attend this year. Don't have a doubt.
I mean, who knows? Like I'm going to 104 basketball games this year,
dude. And so, how many women's games and non-D1 games do you think?
Well, no more non-D1s.
Okay, how many women's games though?
Well, the 9 MAC tournament games.
Okay.
And then for Syracuse women, I think it's.
You've already had 2.
It's 5 more Syracuse women's games.
Okay, so you've covered 2 women's games.
3
women's games. 5 more Syracuse games.
Like, it could be more.
Plus the 9 MAC tournament games. That gets me to 17. So out of those 104 games, plus the 2 non-D1 games that you've covered so far, right?
4.
You've covered 4 non-D1 games?
The 3 exhibitions.
Well, no, I don't count those.
Okay, then 101.
Okay, so that means that I am roughly going to make 83 bets this year, give or take, on games you cover.
I haven't fully. Wait, no, forgot the 2 MAC women's games I'm covering in December.
Oh, okay, 81. And we're 1-2. We got an uphill battle, but it's a long journey ahead.
I can't wait for you to place 3 different bets on Saturday, March 8th on different MAC games.
We're going to be sitting here on February 15th, and I'm going to be like 20 and like 47, and like it's gonna get rough out there.
I can't wait for your back-to-back tweets. I'm taking Lemoyne -2 against Chicago State. I'm taking North Carolina -8 against Syracuse. Within 3 hours of each other.
Dude, I was thinking about making this into a TikTok series, but then I'm like, I don't want to have to like talk about Lemoyne every other day.
You can do it over winter break.
Jordan Majewski's notes that we subscribe to have been very helpful for some of these games so far.
Yeah, I'm surprised he talked about Lemoyne CSUN.
I mean, it was Tuesday. Like, there weren't many other
Wednesday.
teams playing. Or Wednesday, whenever it was.
There were a lot of games on Wednesday.
But, yeah, no, it was very helpful.
You want to do a Champions Classic preview?
Sure. I would love to.
Well, do we have anything
Duke's
big?
The second game, right?
Hold on. Do we have anything big tomorrow? Ooh, we have Yale, Purdue, St.
Those
Peter's,
teams
Rutgers.
played a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament.
McNeese, Alabama.
I thought you said Hawaii won.
Eastern Washington, Mizzou.
I will be there.
Yeah, not much tomorrow.
No.
Get to see SMU against UNCG. That's a team that always plays tough. Wait, Hawaii plays on back-to-back days? What on earth? Hawaii plays 3 games in 4 days.
Oh, dude, you know who's playing tomorrow?
Who?
Life Pacific.
Dude, they played today.
They're playing San Jose State.
Dude, Life Pacific is also playing 3 games in 4 days. They played on Friday in Hawaii.
Is Life Pacific in Hawaii?
But they played, I think.
Yeah, it's in Honolulu.
They played on Friday in Hawaii. They're playing Pacific tonight.
Dude, I think that's why. Because if Pacific plays Hawaii then tomorrow, that's like it's like an undocumented MTE.
What the hell?
They all just played each other.
Wait, these games are in Hawaii.
Yeah, they all just played each other.
How can you do an MTE with a non-D1?
It was Hawaii, San Jose State, Pacific, and Life Pacific.
Hawaii's in Diamond Head.
Correct.
That's why it's a non-documented MTE.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's an undocumented MTE.
Champions Classic preview.
You want to go in order of these games?
Well, we have to start with Villanova St. Joe's.
All right, Champions Classic preview. In between games, Joey Galloway will complain about where Clemson is ranked in the college football playoff poll.
Yeah.
Kansas has a far superior roster to Michigan State. Michigan State doesn't have the advantage of this being played in Chicago or Indy, where they dominate the crowd. Kansas by 10.
I just wonder. This is a huge test for Simon Zappala. I like Zappala. I think he's going to be a solid Big Ten big man. But having to face Hunter Dickinson and what we know Hunter Dickinson is, it's going to be a big test. Jackson Kohler was really good for them against Niagara. I was really impressed with what he did in that game. Can Jackson Kohler, which big will kind of, I mean, I know we said this last year, which big will emerge and no big emerged. Is a big going to emerge for Michigan State this year is kind of the big question that we have. And I like Zappala. I think he's solid. I think Kohler's solid. But like, somebody's got to emerge. And we know Hunter Dickinson is going to do 20 and 10 if Kansas loses by 20 or wins by 20.
Right. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm like, I don't know if this is the true test to measure the Michigan State bigs because
it's not. It's just like, is somebody going to emerge, and can somebody do something in the offensive end?
But by the way, like I know we're previewing the Champions Classic, but St. Joe's Villanova on Tuesday is guaranteed to be the funniest game of all time.
Both of those teams do not deserve to win. I can guarantee you neither of those teams will deserve to win that game. But yeah, I was a little surprised Diggy Coet was starting. Kind of just like send a message to AJ Storr, take him off the bench. I think in the Champions Classic, we get the AJ Storr Kansas breakout game. I don't know why. I can't really explain why, but it just feels like it's going to happen. He had 28 points against Michigan State last year when he was with Wisconsin. He won KenPom MVP. They won by 15. And he was KenPom game MVP in the other game too when he scored 22. He dominates Michigan State. That's why. AJ Storr is going to have his breakout game as a Kansas Jayhawk on Tuesday night. Kansas by 15. Unless we see one of those random Izzo games where he just completely coaches circles around whoever he's coaching against, no matter what.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Again, I don't either. I just said I think Kansas is going to win by 15.
When's the last time Michigan State beat Kansas in this event?
What, they play every 3 years?
Yeah, because I can't. What happened during the Zion year?
Kansas 92, Michigan State 87.
Okay. And then
Boston 20 points, 14 rebounds.
The time before that,
Michigan State won. Michigan State won 79-73. Denzel Valentine 29, 12, and 12.
Okay, I was at that.
Holy crap! Denzel Valentine 29, 12, and 12 with one turnover. What on earth? That guy was so good.
So Ken Pom actually projects Duke to beat Kentucky by more than it projects Kansas to beat Michigan State.
I think that because I think we know what Michigan State is. We don't know what Kentucky is.
No, we don't.
Kentucky's kind of the only and Duke a little bit. We don't know really what they are. Like we assume we know what they are. Yeah, we don't know. Like we have no idea what Kentucky is. Like, are they just going to come out and bomb threes all game?
So Kentucky in the first 2 games has taken 24 threes and I'm looking here, 36 threes. They've scored over 1.2 points per possession in each of those games. Granted, the opponents are what they are. They played Bucknell and Wright State. Like, this is obviously a level up. And, like, I do think that there's, like, probably going to be something to be said about Kentucky leveling up with this roster. Like, I'm still very suspicious about, like, what this team is. I think Jackson Robinson's good, but, like, there's also a chance. Like, we agree Jackson Robinson's this Kentucky team's best player, right?
Yes.
There's also a chance he's, like, the 4th best player on the floor.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Kobe Brea has made 10 of the 12 threes he's taken in 2 games. Like, is he going to come out of the Champions Classic with, like, 16 for 18? 16 for 20? Like, is he going to come out of the Champions Classic with some absurd number?
Yeah.
I mean,
I really don't know what to expect with this game. Like,
Kirk Reese has been good. I'll say that.
I certainly think there's a chance that Duke loses, but yeah, like
I would not be surprised if Duke kind of blew them out.
Dude, I would laugh so hard.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky like came out and was up 15 at halftime and won by like 8.
Like this Kentucky team is really good at shooting the basketball. I'm like interested to figure out what else they do well that allows like them to win this game.
That's what I would agree. I think like sure, I like Amari Williams, but is he a matchup for what this Duke front court is? I think Duke's front court is a mismatch for everybody in college basketball.
Because like if you think that like you can come out and just like hit a couple more threes than Duke and beat them, like good luck.
Like, dude, Khan is like
best shooter in this game.
What are they going to do about Khan? Like,
I mean,
Kentucky's best lineups, like, or the lineups that Kentucky's going to want to run to get their offense aren't going to be good for them defensively in this game.
Correct.
And they're not like, because like Andrew Carr isn't going to be. Andrew Carr can't guard Cooper Flagg.
They're gonna have to play Amari.
Of course, they're gonna have to play Amari.
Well, then who guards? Come on.
Like, yeah, can Amari like Amari can guard Cooper, but like then who's guarding the post?
It's like
because Andrew Carr is not guarding the post. I know that.
We talked about we talk about this like Pope offense. Like, is Duke's plan just going to be to like not shade off of Brea and like make someone else beat you on dribble drives?
I just think Duke has such a personnel advantage in this game.
They do.
That like I would be like I could see Kentucky shooting like crazy, but like that's kind of the only thing I see for Kentucky to win them this game. I just see so many different pathways to Duke winning. Oh, Khan could have a big game. Cooper could have the Cooper Flagg game. And honestly, like, this could be the Cooper Flagg game the way it was the Zion Williamson game in 2019. Like, you remember that. Everyone remembers that.
I mean, people also forget that RJ Barrett had 30 in that game, I think, too.
Yes. But like, this could be the Cooper Flag game. This could be Con. Like, and then, oh yeah, you have Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster, who would be some of the best players on most ACC teams. Sion James. Like, Duke has so many guys that, like, oh yeah, I could see them having a big game and them winning it. I could see I could see them kind of taking control of this game in a certain way that, like, I don't see Kentucky having an answer for. But yeah, like, I see one way for Kentucky winning this game. Like, they make shots.
Well, I also will tell you that Kentucky will probably have more fans there in this game by a pretty significant margin.
You think it's going to be significant?
Dude, they used to call, when the SEC tournament used to be in Atlanta, they would call it
But Duke
Catlanta.
travels everywhere.
I know, but like they used to call it Catlanta.
Both of these teams travel everywhere. I don't think that's going to be like a huge. Like, I don't think this is going to be like. I think like Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, like Indiana, like those teams travel everywhere.
Okay, we'll see. It's also sometimes hard to tell when you're actually there.
Because it's both the same color.
Well, 3 of these teams are blue. Kansas is blue too, so it's easy to ID the Michigan State fans.
That's why they're a blue blood.
That's not why.
I don't get like calling teams that wear red blue bloods. Like, that's not what it is. They're blue bloods. They bleed blue. They don't bleed green. They don't bleed red. They bleed blue. All right, Lidskin.
Fireman, take us home.
If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about what blue bloods bleed, you came to the right place 5 seconds ago. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill and happenings a couple years ago with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 5, Episode 34 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Stealers. We will see you next time, probably Tuesday night, for a Champions Classic recap.